Thank you, ma'am. So like that, we can be relaxed, but also awake. We don't have to be relaxed and asleep. Of course, if you are extremely sleepy, then it's not a good idea to try to meditate at that time. So, of course, you cannot be seen, most of you. So if you go to sleep, that's good, that's fine. And even if you snore, people won't hear you because I've muted you all. Hopefully I will not snore because I'm drinking tea. Okay, so the mind, as you know, and I'm sure most of you know, because you've been studying and listening to teachings, the mind is very, very much like a monkey, like a wild elephant. It goes everywhere. The great saint, teacher, meditator, Tsongkhapa, who is the founder of the so-called Yellow Hat School, the Gelugpa School, and Tushita Center is kind of mainly attached to that school of Tibetan Buddhism. The great Tsongkhapa said that up to now, the mind has been in control of us. We have not been in control of our mind. So we have to reverse that situation. We have to exercise some control over our mind. And the implication, of course, was that because the mind has been controlling us, we have suffered a lot because the mind has just gone where it wanted to, based on deluded way of thinking, habitual patterns from, according to Buddhists, countless past lives of nonsense thoughts, of negative thoughts, unwholesome thoughts, just redundant, excessive thoughts, just too much thinking, for example, and then harmful thoughts and lustful thoughts and envious thoughts, all of that, So that can overwhelm our mind, anxious thoughts, fearful thoughts, competitive thoughts, and this disturbs the peace of the mind. And as you know, all of you, I'm sure, Buddhism says our mind is by nature very, very pure. Is actually our mind by nature is in the nature of Buddha, fully awakened, But because of these habitual patterns, our conditioning, we are in, you could say, some kind of, we're in a mental mess. We are neurotic. We are sick. Buddha said clearly, we are sick. He's the doctor. The medicine are the teachings. And the people, all of you and all the people at Tushita, Delhi sitting there, they're like the helpers in the hospital. All of our Dharma friends, we are helping each other like the helpers in the hospital. The nurses, the medics, the cleaners, all of that. So we need help, right? We need help. So we can begin to help ourselves by bringing our attention to our body as it sits on the floor or on a chair, on the cushion. Let's bring our attention home. Bring it home. Not wandering around all the time. That's very exhausting, right? So we bring the mind home. Like when we come home after a busy day, maybe you can remember your childhood, you come home after a busy day and your mother has prepared some hot milk or tea or some cake or whatever, and you sit down, just relaxed, So nice, just relaxed. Of course, this is a bit different, but the point is we come back to a place where we feel very comfortable, very relaxed, at ease. We don't feel uptight, uptight, tense. We don't feel like that. If you are feeling uptight, no problem. Just recognize and begin to work with your breathing and feeling in this sense of warmth and kindness to yourself, okay? You feel, okay, I'm feeling uptight or whatever, restless, tense, no problem. Just I'm going to make friends with that and just ease with that and let myself relax with the out breath. Okay, imagine that you're soothing your restlessness with the breathing and especially the out breath. Okay, especially the out breath. Very calm, very clear. Like when you breathe, a sigh of relief, right? Yeah. And how does your body feel when you begin to relax? Can you feel the sensation of your body on the cushion, your legs, your feet on the floor, on the cushion? Can we feel that? The actual sensation, not the thought of it, not the image, an actual sensation. And can we feel, as we breathe in naturally, but maybe a little deeply to begin with, can we feel the breath in our body? Can you feel the movement of your chest, your lungs? Or if you're used to deep abdominal breathing, can you feel the breath in your abdomen? Your abdomen expanding and contracting as you breathe? Can you feel that? Isn't it amazing that everybody on this planet who is alive, and most of the mammals and the animals, they are also right at this moment breathing in and out, just like you and me. Isn't that amazing to think? Everybody breathing in and out. That's why we're all alive right now. Participating in breathing. Wow. If nothing else, that is something we all share, right? We all need oxygen. We need to breathe in and out. So really, in one way, that's our best friend. We should make friends with our breath. And we can utilize this good friend to relax. And that friend, while we're alive, is always there. Always there. Amazing. We can't rely on other kind of friends to always be there, but the breath is always there. So just enjoy the sensation as you breathe in and you breathe out through the nostrils, perhaps. Feel the sensation there at the nostrils. Okay, this is not the main quiet meditation. This is all part of the motivation, which is important. So we're slowing down, we're connecting with our breath, we are really beginning to make friends with ourselves, which is so important because very often it's like we are refugees in exile from ourselves. So then we always feel a little lost, right? When you're in exile and you don't know what's going on, you always feel a little lost, a little confused. So we're like that. So if we come home to the body, the breath, we begin to feel at home. We begin to feel, yeah, okay, I can take care of myself properly. Now, as part of the motivation still, which is so important, think of all unbelievable number of people in this world who right now do not feel at home at all. They are disturbed by mental and physical sickness, pain. They are disturbed by the storm of thoughts in their heads. I guess they feel it's in their heads, which they cannot control, or they think they cannot control. They are sad, many are lonely, many are upset with this or that, with people, are in conflict. Some are in a very desperate situation. Their homes may have been destroyed. They may have lost their loved ones in any number of ways, often in conflict. And there are many who don't have any problems with hunger or thirst or with homes. They have plenty of everything, but they don't have any meaning. They find no meaning in their lives. Their lives seem meaningless. There doesn't seem to be any good purpose to live. And we're talking here not just old or sick people, we're talking young people, middle-aged people. They don't know why really they should stay alive. There's not much purpose to live. So they're kind of inner frustration, desperation, you know. Or many people, they don't feel loved, or they don't feel they love anybody, you know. Most people are living very sad, unhappy lives, right? We're not even talking now of animals who are totally at the mercy of other animals and of human beings, and who suffer so much due to each other and to human greed, human cruelty, human carelessness, we might say. Most humans, when killing animals or using them, they're not doing it out of hatred, but we are careless. We don't understand the suffering. Ignorant. Anyway, think in your own way. Spend a moment to reflect on a particular kind of suffering in the world which makes you very sad, which particularly affects you, which, you know, when you think of it, it makes you, you know, very sad and makes you maybe want to help those people. So please think about that right now. And then we might like to think, look, I have this amazing opportunity right now. as a human with enough to eat and drink, a roof over one's head, hopefully enough, resources or money to survive for the next few months at least. We have some understanding of the dharma, of teachings, we're interested. So much, and we have other people who are interested and so help to support us. So we are really unbelievably fortunate people. So given our good circumstances, how wonderful it would be if we could also do something for others who are really having a very hard time. So think about whom in your life you might be able to help. Maybe just one other person, that's fine. But who can we help in our life? Who or what group of people would we like to help? Or could we help? If we really put our mind to it, who could we help and how could we help them? You might be an artist or filmmaker or something like that. So, how could you benefit people? Because people need help, right? And through experience what kind of help people need, what they suffer. Or if we don't know exactly, we can begin to investigate. We can find out through communicating with other people. Or you may be a teacher, someone interested in that, and think, wow, children need so much help. They're inheriting a world which is going to be very challenging. They need skill, they need courage, they need kindness, they need the willingness to cooperate and not just be competitive all the time. So that's a huge responsibility to nurture and educate children in the right way so that they can help each other in the world rather than create more problems. So I think in order to help people, I have to first help myself in the sense that I need to be a little bit balanced. I need to be a little less crazy, distracted, whatever it is. So therefore, I'm going to calm the mind with the breath awareness practice for a little while. Then we're all going to investigate Shantideva's great work to see how analytical meditation on his text can help us really begin to transform our attitudes, our minds, so that we really can be of tremendous benefit to other people, tremendous benefit, just like our own great teachers, such tremendous benefit they bring to others. So, excuse me, we can also be like that. We also have a mind, we also have that potential. We should never think I'm useless, I cannot be like my teachers. Of course you can. Our teachers were once ignorant, ordinary sentient beings, although sometimes hard to imagine that, but they were. At some point in the past, they were animals. According to the teachings, that would be what we would say. And then through practice, through effort, they became what they are. So we'll stabilize, calm the mind first with some breath awareness practice. So checking that your posture is upright and front of the body open, shoulders level, head maybe tilted a little bit slightly forward, arms relaxed by the side of your body, hands in the lap or on the thighs. Make sure your feet are in a good connection with the cushion, your chair or the ground. And simply connect with the breathing, with this wonderful breath. Sense of letting go and relaxing with the out breath. And when thoughts come, gently recognizing, but letting them go, coming back to the breath. A very simple, very relaxed, very open state of mind. No tension, no worry. Okay. Spend a little while to prepare for the next days of the session. Simply, if you need to stand or stretch, just do that now. People at Tushita in Delhi, there's probably some hot water, other things at the back if you need. Okay, so yesterday we looked at some of the verses, the first verses, the beginning of chapter 8, because we had gone through it before, but we never really stopped and reflected on it. And now we're starting to do that. So he's been talking about the shortcomings of attachment, the shortcomings of associating too much with ordinary people, what one translation calls foolish people. This is people who are just caught up with their, unsatisfied, deluded minds, consumed by 8 worldly feelings. Yeah, as he put it, people who become angry, even if you say good things to them, give them good advice, they become angry. If they're not listened to properly, they get angry. If you don't agree with them, they get angry. And then what does that do? That just breaks the course for them to suffer. And Shantideva says, go to a miserable existence, miserable state of existence after death. So it's saying, this is just revision. Ordinary people like us, or like most people, are envious towards superior people. We feel very competitive with people whom we think are equal, and then we look down arrogantly on people who we think are inferior to us, lower than us. And we become puffed up, conceited when people praise us, and we get so upset when people blame us or something. So where could there be any benefit from, such an attitude, such kind of people who are full of these unwholesome attitudes, feelings? Verse 13, between one fool and another, something non-virtuous is inevitable, such as glorification of one's own self, speaking badly of others, and conversations about the pleasures of the cycle of existence. So, when ordinary people, think about it. Think about some of the conversations you overhear or that one has engaged in oneself. How meaningful have they been? How deluded have they been? How often have we just spoken about the pleasures of the cycle of existence? Again and again, doing that. So think about that. Has that happened recently with us? So when we are kind of relaxed, or having a cup of tea or something, it's very easy to talk about things which are not that important, which are actually quite nonsensical. So therefore, next verse says that on account of associating with someone like that, with other people, ordinary people, one encounters adversity, meaning I think that in the future then one encounters problems, trouble through that association. So then he says very simply, I shall happily live alone with a non-afflicted mind. The Tibetan, apparently, according to Wallace, says this: thus, that association between myself and others simply leads to ruin. They don't fulfill my needs, nor do I fulfill theirs. And that could mean both worldly and spiritual needs, even worldly needs. I mean, how many people can fulfill our worldly needs completely, let alone spiritual needs? So it's pointless to associate. One should flee far away from such a fool. One should gratify the encountered person with pleasantries, but not with the intention of intimacy, but in the manner of a kind and impartial person. So we can say hello and be kind to people and so forth, but we needn't become close to them. We should be kind and impartial, but not too close from ordinary people, uninstructed worldling. Meaning we shouldn't become tainted and influenced by their way of thinking. That's the point. I mean, we should feel very compassionate towards them, I suppose, but not be affected. And this next verse, very interesting. I don't know, I don't have the other translation with me. I only have Wallace, but very interesting. I hadn't noticed this. See if you find it slightly unusual. The last part especially. Taking only what benefits dharma, like a bee taking nectar from a flower, I shall live everywhere without acquaintance, as if I had not existed before. So it's like wherever you go, it's like, I'm a stranger here, that kind of thing. I hadn't existed before here. I'm just a stranger. I'm just passing by, kind of thing. Like a bee taking nectar from a flower, one doesn't become too close to anyone, as if I hadn't existed before. In other words, just a passing, stranger kind of thing. But not stranger in the wrong sense, but a kind and impartial person, but not getting caught up, not getting entangled with anybody. Anyway, I don't want to go through every verse because our point is to reflect on some of the main points. But in verse 18, for example, it says, wherever the mind, infatuated by pleasures, finds enjoyment, there a thousandfold suffering arises and falls to one's share. In conjunction with every object of attachment of the infatuated mind, suffering arises 1,000 times. So the mind, when it's infatuated, as an English word means kind of becomes totally like feverish towards an object, infatuated, totally obsessed with an object, a person, a situation, or something we want. Shantideva was saying that is not going to lead to real satisfaction. Actually, it's going to lead to a lot of suffering. You might want to consider why. Why would it? If your infatuation with something whether it's a person or an object, brings you that object, say you get that object, and why is he saying that it leads to suffering 1,000 times? What would be the point of saying that? We can discuss this later. Suffering 1,000-fold, suffering arises and falls to one's share. Thus, the wise don't become attached because fear arises from attachment. These objects of attachment pass away by themselves. So be firm and know this. Fear arises from desire, from the objects of desire. So we're afraid in regard to things which in any case are going to pass away, change. We may be afraid of losing something, may be afraid of a person or some situation, but that situation is going to change anyway. Say. But because of desire and wrong mind, mistaken mind, we get attached, we get hooked, and therefore we suffer because of something which is kind of like a dream, like a rainbow, in the sense that it appears but then disappears. It's like we're getting infatuated with and afraid of shapes, phantom shapes. So does that happen for us? How does this relate to us? How does it relate to you and me? Reflect on this. Have you had this experience? With any kind of object or person? Yeah, and then a very powerful statement about impermanence and the kind of foolishness of getting attached to passing things, to worldly objects. He says, many have become wealthy, many have become famous, but no one knows where they've gone with their wealth and fame. Meaning, of course, we know where they've gone, but it's a way of speaking which is quite powerful, right? I mean, in a way, we don't know where they've gone after that, and what's happened to their wealth, and everything they craved, everything they loved, what's happened to all of that. What's happened to all the, all the possessions, all the glitter, all the gold of Cleopatra or any other great king or queen of the past, where's it all gone? Either, looted by other people or disappeared, or still under the ground somewhere. They certainly, those beings don't possess it anymore. So it's really quite a sad situation, especially when Shantideva says things like, a fool, and remember, fool here means it could be someone who has, has a very good university degree, but fool here means someone still under the control of the eight worldly dharmas, and uninstructed worldling, right? Someone who hasn't tamed their mind yet. So a fool is nobody's friend, he says, because the affection of a fool does not arise without self-interest. The affection of a fool does not arise without self-interest. So we can't rely on such a person. But who can we, it's like, who can we rely on in the end? Who can we rely on? And he says, love due to self-interest is love for one's own sake. It's just attachment. It's attachment to one's own benefit, one's own pleasure. Just as distress at the loss of possessions happens because of the loss of the pleasure involved, the pleasure of possession. And now a very important section, and we might spend some time on this, reflecting on this. I'm going to read these next few verses, and then you meditate on the meaning. I'm not going to explain meaning, it's self-explanatory. After all that he's been saying so far in this chapter, he changes gear, and although it's perfectly logical what he says next, it follows on very beautifully from what he's been saying. He says, trees, right? There are trees, don't revile, don't, criticize, don't revile me. They are not pleased with effort. When might I dwell with those whose company is a delight? Or another translation, in the forest, the deer, the birds, and trees do not speak unpleasantly. When shall I dwell with them, whose company brings delight? When shall I dwell in a cave, an empty temple, or at the foot of a tree, without looking back and without attachment? When shall I dwell, living freely and without attachment, in unclaimed and naturally spacious places? When shall I dwell fearlessly with a poultry with a simple begging bowl and so on, and clothing which is wanted by nobody, living fearlessly, even without having to conceal my body? Or another translation of that, when shall I dwell fearlessly without protecting my body, having a clay bowl as my only property, and a garment which is useless to a thief? When shall I go to the local cremation grounds and compare my own body, which has the nature of decay, with other corpses? So let's reflect on this for a little while, these verses. What does it mean for you? What could it mean? Does it ring any bells? Have you had times in your life when you could enjoy, maybe not the forest, but something close to that? And what did it mean for you? What does it mean for us? This, of course, connects with the great universal theme of solitude, and it discussed, in a sense, in all the great world religions, and not just religions, but anybody who takes time to reflect, needs time to reflect on their life and so on and so forth, often need to be in solitude, quiet, natural spaces. And it's extraordinary, I think, we're so used to, as many of us, to living in urban landscapes, especially maybe very young people who have never had the chance to really go out into nature. I mean, nature for many people now is something a little bit, they're wary of it. They're not very comfortable with nature, with natural surroundings. It kind of feels dangerous to them. It's not controlled enough, secure enough, clean enough, doesn't smell antiseptic enough, kind of thing. But for many of us, I hope many of us still, nature is somehow trees and grass, flowers, sky, mountains, space. It's kind of instantly, is it not? Instantly has a kind of tranquilizing effect, but in the best way, not putting us to sleep, but making us, I don't know, feel very calm and clear, and somehow also very joyful. It can make us feel very elevated and joyful. And of course, especially places that have been blessed by meditators, great beings, by bodhisattvas. Or just where a lot of people have worked together with good intentions to provide a space that benefits others, like many Dharma centers around the world. There can be that sense of delight to be in those places. However, of course, Shantideva also here bringing in a very powerful point of our mortality. Saying that this body of ours, which we cherish right now, right, with so many things, with ornaments and oils and perfumes and this and that, it's going to smell so bad after we die. And if it's not burnt soon, it'll smell so bad that even the foxes don't want to come close, even the jackals, he says, won't come close because, it smells so much. Jackals are quite hideous beings, actually. From childhood, I have memory of jackals. Most of us wouldn't have seen a jackal, maybe. But there were jackals roaming near the school where my father taught in the 60s. And they make a hideous sound. And they often come and eat meat which is being killed by another, more ferocious or bigger or stronger predator. But I well remember a jackal which was put on display after being shot. Still have that image from 6 or 7 years old. The jackal, and one kind of feels looking at them that they would eat anything. Ugly creatures, poor things. And so he's saying that even a jackal wouldn't come close to our body. These co-emergent pieces of bones, if the co-emergent pieces of bones of this single body will fall apart, how much more so another person whom one holds dear? Oh dear. If the flesh and bone that have arisen together with this body will deteriorate and disperse, how much more is this the case for other friends? All the thoughts expressed here in one way are very beautiful and sublime, and of course in another way they're very difficult for us, aren't they? Us ordinary people who haven't tasted the delights of deep meditation, and who therefore do rely on temporary objects and people and our bodies and other people's bodies for joy. Yeah, because he says in the next verse, without, well, he says, person is born alone and dies alone. No one else really has a share in one's agony. What is the use of loved ones who create hindrances? Just as one who's undertaken a journey takes lodging, so does one who travels in the cycle of existence take lodging in a rebirth. Until one is raised by 4 men and put on, the stretcher, and 4 people are carrying it, the stretcher, That's how people are taken to the cremation ground in India. 4 people, 4 or 5 people carry, the palki, the person on a stretcher, saying, Ram Nam Satya Hai, Ram Nam Satya Hai. You might have seen that in the streets in India. Anyway, until one is hoisted by 4 men and mourned by the world, until that time, what should one do? He says. He doesn't say go to the mall, enjoy, go to the movies, go on a cruise. No, it says one should retire to the forest. One should retire to the forest. Free of intimacy, free of conflict. One is in bodily solitude. One has already died to the world and does not grieve when dying. The better translation is, without intimacy, without conflict, one dwells in physical solitude, and when one is counted as if already dead by other people, then nobody grieves when one actually dies. Isn't that amazing? Right now, if someone gets sick and dies, wow, there's so much high, so much drama, so much pain, so much grieving, so much, often, sometimes crocodile tears, sometimes real tears, all sorts of things happen when people die, right? Here he's saying if people don't even know who you are, where you're living anymore, then when you die, no one's going to worry. No one is going to grieve. And that's the best way to go. You're not causing anybody any upset anymore. One's been living in physical solitude for so long, already counted as dead. Nobody grieves when one actually dies. For us, that's actually, it could be liberating for some people to hear this, but for others, for most of us, perhaps it's kind of not nice. We want people to be bothered when we die. We want people to, care that we died. We want people who loved us to feel sad. We don't want people to just forget us, do we? I mean, our whole our whole sense of identity is built up on other people knowing us, saying whatever they say to us, sir or venerable or this or that, or, so, to lose that, to feel that nobody will care when I die, that's the sign of renunciation, it seems to me. Nobody cares when I die. Nobody knows where I am. Nobody knows where I died. Wow, isn't that a strange thought? Well, given what he said so far, totally logical. It totally fits in with what Shantideva has been saying before in this chapter. And we're only on verse 36 out of 187. We're already talking about in a very profound fashion about letting go, isn't it? What do you think? Spend a moment thinking what you would like when you die. How would you like to die? Just let's have a thought experiment. How would we like to die? What circumstances? Who would you like to be there? Who would you like to be worrying or crying or whatever? What would you like? How would you like to die? Yeah, I recently, well, a few months ago, attended a death of somebody I knew, Lama Yeshe. It was somehow pretty, what can I say? It was like pretty awful, really, dehumanizing almost, the whole situation, the manner of going. Wasn't, I wouldn't say it was very dignified. So actually, the best way, who knows, might be to just pass away in the forest, and at least one becomes food for hungry animals. And thousands of ants and worms, maggots can enjoy the body, rather than it being thrust in some oven, electric crematorium, or burnt, using up a lot of wood, or buried in the ground. Kind of, yeah. Anyway, something to think about, right? Something to think about. That's what Shantideva is getting us to do, to preparing us for the Bodhichitta. So we have to have a pretty unusual, powerful mind to start, really thinking about Bodhichitta and practicing that kind of extraordinary compassion. We need to be very unusual people who have had already engaged in some powerful thought experiments and stretched our minds beyond, what we've been taught at school, university, and so forth. He says, therefore I should cultivate solitude, which is delightful, without difficulties, having a favorable outcome, and subduing all distractions. I shall always dwell alone in the delightful forest, which creates few problems, good cheer, and the pacification of all distractions. And why are we going to the forest? I mean, in the context of this text, why do we go to the forest? He says, then, free from distraction, free from all other concerns, having a single-pointed mind, I shall apply myself to meditative concentration and to the subjugation of the mind. Yeah, and then of course follows the famous exhortation to, remember, to the monks whom he's talking to not get attached to the bodies of other people, in this case to the bodies of women. And as we've said, if she was a nun talking to nuns, she'd be saying, beware of the snare of the male body. Anyway, we can stop here and discuss anything we want to discuss. So I'll just open it up. Okay. Anybody have anything to say? Looking at the chat, so Tashi Delek. So I once got a letter from a Lama explaining what Tashi Delek meant. It's got very nice meaning. I can't remember exactly. Auspiciousness, good fortune, I think joy, Tibetan greeting, kind of more meaningful than good morning or hello or hi, hiya. Who's at Tushita? Who are the brave people still at Tushita in Delhi? No one was sitting cross-legged, it seems. Everyone's a front or back bencher. Hello, people at Tushita. I hope you're not cardboard cutouts. Yeah, you look like real people. Hi, thank you. Yeah, I don't know who you are. I don't have good eyesight. But thank you for being there. I hope you could get there okay. Okay, if you have to leave, no problem. Thank you. All right. We had Naveen here, braving the mosquitoes sitting. We still have our friend here, opposite me, opposite the office, Rajesh.
Hello, everybody.
Yeah, he's now the manager, the kind of acting manager at Root Institute, being promoted, office door. And yeah, I can't see the mosquitoes. Not too many. Yeah. There's a stupa out there. Can you see the stupa? Maybe a little bit. Anyway, that's got some very holy objects in it, that stupa. A small stupa. Yeah. A little bit, just for a while, I can get some Wi-Fi. Will last a little while. You can see lights. Can you see? Oh, well, just that's the Gompa meditation hall. And then we have a prayer wheel, a big, very big prayer wheel. Yeah, billions and billions of mantras on microfilm in that one. And in between, there's a Maitreya statue, but you can't see that. There's not enough light for that, I think. And there's been an interesting sky the last few days, the moon, and then either side, there were planets in a row, at least 2 planets, one on each side of the moon, but quite a long way away from the moon. I think possibly Saturn was there, I'm not sure. I don't know exactly. Anyway, thank you, Tamnila. Thank you for attending. Yeah, probably bump into you in Horsecast Market one day and remind you to come to Tushita. Thank you so much for coming today. Nice to see our Mumbai wala there, Bhujwala ji from Mumbai. Thank you for being there. Haritun, who has a lovely apartment overlooking the Oval Maidan in South Mumbai. Very beautiful place, I think. A lot of character. There we are. You're cooking probably marmalade, are you? Or is it custard? Marmalade, yeah. He's a marmalade man. Marmalade marvel. Marmalade magician, I would say. Marmalade magic. Yeah. And he makes marmalade for himself and his mother. His mother lives with his mother, takes care of his mum. Okay, any thoughts or comments on what we looked at today? If not, that's fine, because there's plenty of food for thought. If you wanted to think about this, it could certainly preoccupy us and prevent us from sleeping, actually. Probably. But, you know, as one Lama said, you know, the Dharma is not meant to make us feel very comfortable and cozy, you know, like getting under a quilt on a cold day. That's not the meaning of Dharma initially anyway. It's meant to, he said, turn our life upside down, torpedo our complacency. That's what Dharma is good for. That's what it's for. And you kind of say, oh no, you know, where can I get comfort and joy, you know? I don't want to be torpedoed. Already had enough torpedoes. I want comfort. I want security. You know, I want my mummy. I want my daddy, or you know, whatever. I want to suck my thumb like a child. But then the Dharma is.
Can I say?
Yes. Okay. We have Rajesh ji here wants to say something. But why don't you come here so they can see you and you can say it? Yeah.
I think what I think Dharma is like strong river is running downwards to the hill, and to stop the river first, slow it down, make so much effort and constant pain, so much hardship. And slowly, we have to stop the water going down and then take water upwards. When we stop the water running down completely and then go upwards again, then real joy will give dharma. Then there is real joy and real peace of mind, and then real dharma. Effortlessly, then dharma start. I think what I have learned from my teacher, Guruji, Kabirji, and other my holy lamas.
Not from me. You didn't learn it from me, mate. Yeah.
That's what I have to say about dharma.
So you agree that it shakes us up. It's not easy.
It's not easy. It's so much tremendous effort day and night. It's difficult to stop. Water is going down.
So who can do that? Who is capable of this?
We have to do making small step, and like stopping small and then slow down first, making some small dam, then dam goes little bigger, then bigger and bigger. It takes maybe lifetimes, and then we have to completely stop, like running downwards negative emotions, attachment, aversion, and anger. Then we can stop them, and then the other good quality will start again coming towards us. That's what I feel I learned from my holy teachers.
Well, not me, but your other holy teachers.
Thank you listening to me.
Thanks, Rajeshji. So what do you think about that statement? I'm not sure I feel comfortable with that statement. Somehow I feel it's true, but somehow my lazy mind says, oh dear, have I chosen the right path, the right religion? Isn't there an easier way? Isn't there a quick formula like the books in the airports say? 7 steps to this, 6 steps to that. Hop, skip, and jump to enlightenment. What do people think?
Kabirji?
Yes.
So in one of the verses, it was said, you read out that like when this combination of flesh and bones is going to disperse, what to say of the people whom you're hanging out with? It was something of that kind. So what does that mean?
Oh, come on. What does it mean? You tell me. It's one of the easier verses. Which verse was it? Which verse was that? Anyone find that verse? Hold on. Yeah. If the co-emergent pieces of bones of this single body will fall apart, right? How much more so another person whom one holds dear? Well, you have a problem understanding what that says? If my flesh and blood that have arisen together with this body will deteriorate and disperse, how much more is this the case for other friends? No? What don't you understand about that, Anushriti?
Like I understood that our bodies will cease to be eventually, but the other person, what about the other persons will also cease to be, right? That is what it is saying, no?
Seems to be, that's what the English is saying, unless it's some kind of googly or coded statement, which means something else, but I don't think it does. What do you think, Sagar? How do you understand that verse? Sagar, why? When you're saying my body...
I think I think it's talking about the attachment we have with others.
Yeah, but what's it saying about one's own body and other people's bodies?
It's impermanence, right? I'm closest to my own body, but I can't even save it as in, I mean, I'm going to die.
Okay, my body is together by bones and flesh, and it's going to fall apart, he says. And he says it's also going to happen with my friends and other people. Does that make sense? Or are one's friends somehow permanent? Oneself is impermanent, one's friends are permanent. Is that right?
And
yeah.
and also one of the interpretations could also be that when you can't rely on your own body, when you can't count upon it, how can you count on these friends and other acquaintances whom you meet and for some
Obviously.
time in your life?
Yeah, he's been saying that in different ways again and again. Absolutely. Bad news. It's bad news in one way. Because we all want friends. We are social beings. Even Dalai Lama ji keeps on telling us we are social beings. Then, okay, well, I'm a social being, but all these social beings are impermanent and blah, blah, blah. And I have to learn to be solitary. So then we might get confused, right? Social beings who are also solitary and who are being asked to go to the forest. Say, what are these Dharma people trying to do to me? You know, on the one hand, they're saying this, on the other hand, they're saying that. They're kind of, they're confusing me. They're torturing me with their different statements, right? It's a bit like that. I guess we're being asked to think about these things deeply, you know, feel them from our own experience. Maybe, you know, maybe we don't have enough experience yet, but for sure, life will give us the experience at some point where we see this. You know, if one's very, very young, then maybe one's body hasn't started falling apart yet or deteriorating in any way. And all your friends are young and youthful friends. But as one gets older, then one sees things changing. And then your friends start dying, you know. And even some of them start dying of old age-related diseases. Then you say, wow. Then it can become a bit terrifying when you realize you're not that far away from dying.
I was just wondering, like,
Excuse me?
I was just wondering that first is like if you retire into a forest, then you are away from people, right? So, but Kay always says that you can know yourself only in the mirror of relationship. So I was just, so how do you like how do you understand these two things
Well,
together?
again, I would request you to use your intelligence as a very good teacher and check what we mean by relationship. Plus, the person who's gone into the forest has already learned a lot, presumably from relationship, and that's why they've gone to the forest. Rajesh? Already they learned from relationship के बाद भैया हो गया हमारा मैं जा रहा हूँ आप लोग अपना मामलेट बनाइए मुंबई में मैं तो जा रहा हूँ मैं तो जंगल में जाके मामलेट खाऊंगा
जंगल में वही जाके तबलू जी जो ऑलरेडी रिनाउंसिएशन हो जिसके मन में
Faridun will send marmalade to the forest for us, you know, if you have a service like that. I'm joking. Anyway, yeah. There are relationships everywhere. You can have a relationship with mosquitoes, for heaven's sake, can't you? That's a very good example. How about your relationship with mosquitoes? That shows us very clearly where we're at. You know, we can't stand even one, and we try and kill it. What does that say about the way we relate, you know? Or with the rain, or with the fact that there isn't you know, a Mars bar or chocolate nearby if we're in the forest, you know, how do we relate to that? There's always relationship going on. Relationship with our thoughts, with our body, with our memories. Good grief, we would have so many memories possibly if we're in the forest. Oh, I was only 2 stops away from the sake mall where I could go and buy this, or go to a movie, go to the food court. You know, as I've quoted so many times, you know, last line of Great Gatsby. How about that? The relationship with your past. It's always close behind, as Bob Dylan said, you know. Past is close behind. A relationship, always relationship. Don't worry. There'll always be something to relate with Does that make sense? Or am I talking nonsense again? I had a lot of tea today, so that can have an effect on the brain, on the neocortex. Does it make sense? Ajitji, you're very silent today. I hope you're okay. And maybe you fell asleep. It's so boring.
Yeah, I'm okay. I'm listening very attentively.
So what do you think about Vanshri's, not Vanshri, sorry, Vanshri was a teacher here in Bodhgaya. What do you think about Oscar Wilde's questions, aka Anushri?
Yeah, I think one question regarding the solitude, which she was really, I saw a movie. This was the movie on the Taoist. They always live in the mountain.
Yeah.
So one of the monk, he was telling that when he used to come down to the market to buy the provisions, when he used to sit in the meditation, he found that there were a lot of subconscious imprints getting printed when he visited the markets.
What do you mean getting printed? What do you mean getting printed?
I mean, when he used to go to the market, coming down from his mountain, lot of impressions in his mind used to get
would be
imprinted.
triggered, would be triggered by coming to the market, you mean?
Yeah,
Hmm.
exactly. He used to find that in his meditation. And when he was in the market, he was not really aware of that.
Ah.
And he said that it used to take almost about 7 to 8 days to clear those impressions from his mind.
Hmm.
So I think going to the solitude probably is really to keep the mind in its calm state.
Hmm.
When our mind is interacting with the world, which is very busy, noisy, apparently it may appear that nothing is happening, but subconsciously a lot of things are going in our mind. So they occupy the space. And after some time, those impressions starts propelling our day-to-day relationship. So I think that is why I don't remember which one, Shantideva also said that when you are walking in a very crowded place, we should walk as if our hand is with a bandage, so carefully.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, he even speaks of the wound of the mind. Yeah, which we have to constantly be aware of. Yeah, good point, JJ. Thank you. Different levels of imprints and so forth. Yeah. I hope I didn't upset you with anything I said earlier. No, when I had mentioned university or something, then Naveenji got up abruptly and walked away. I thought, oh no, I hope I haven't upset him with something. Not easy to.
In fact, Geshe-la was telling a story. There was a person who read about Milarepa. He was a very rich man. And he thought that he should go like him. And after 3 days, he found that he had no food to get. He had no servants who used to look after him. He had no blankets to really sleep. And then he started abusing Milarepa. You were beggar and you also made me a beggar. So I think the mental preparation is really required to go to the forest, to the solitude.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's right. I was picked up a book on astrology in the library here at Root Institute because it's written by a Dharma practitioner who was actually one of the first Western monks to be ordained, actually. Then he disrobed, but he was one of the first to ordain, and now he lives in Canada. Very good astrologer. And so he was giving a short autobiography, and he did amazing. He did a 3-year retreat of Vajrabhairava, of Yamataka, the wrathful Manjushri practice. And he was talking about how much he had to do to prepare just to be able to do that retreat, so that there weren't too many obstacles in that 3-year retreat. He had so much preliminary practice to do that the lamas gave him and that he had to do. So much preparation. You can't just jump into a tree or a tree and expect to be successful. So yeah, he put a lot of effort into the preliminary practices. So-called preliminary practices, as Zongsa Rinpoche would say in his book. So-called, they're not very preliminary, they're very amazing, deep practice. Anyway, he had to do a lot of them. And then he did a 3-year Yamantaka retreat. Amazing. For a Westerner, to do that successfully.
Who is he?
His name is Jampa Shainaman. Jampa Shainaman. Shanaman.
Oh.
Yes, yeah. He lives in Canada. He's not well known to us because he hasn't been on the Dharma scene in India for maybe 20, 30 years. Maybe he comes here occasionally, but yeah. His daughter once came to a course at Tushita Dharamsala, and I think he came that year, but I haven't seen him for a long time. Yeah. Very inspiring guy and a good astrologer who uses Dharma and astrology. Yeah. So yeah, preparation, as you say. And as Rajeshji was saying, to reverse the flow of the river, it's not going to be easy, right? We have to have a lot of inner strength and skill and courage, wisdom, all of it, So that doesn't come immediately. In fact, probably the Dharma initially shows us how cowardly we are, how cowardly I am, how miserably inefficient I am at dealing with my emotions and so forth, That's what it initially shows us, how disturbed we are, how sick we are. Yeah. We thought we were okay, we thought we were normal and intelligent people, and members of our family kept on praising us in front of other people. Then we meet the Dharma and then we realize we're nuts, We're crazy. We're just dysfunctional people who at war with ourselves.
always negative emotion rising.
Yeah.
Dealing with all day.
It's like being in a volcanic region,
Yes. Same with me also.
Same with Rajeshji.
Negative emotion rising all the time.
Yeah. Anyway, Rajeshji has a very nice cap. You want to show people your Dharma cap? This is a very holy cap. Would you want to explain it to people?
This is mantra Rinpoche gave. This is the mantra Rinpoche gives. Few mantra.
What mantra is it?
This is like Om Hanu Pasha Baraya Pe. Sing this mantra 100,000 reunions. Get purified.
It's not Om Mani Padme Hum?
Om Mani Padme Hum in the middle, bigger one. And this Om Mani Padme Hum. And this is like Om Pamo Ushnisha Bimale Humpe.
Oh yeah, Om Pamo Ushnisha.
On this mantra of clairvoyance. Clairvoyance. Sha Sa Ma Ha.
And what behind you, we have
this is also
this
the
wonderful thing that Rinpoche is always telling us: live with compassion, work with compassion, meditate with compassion. Now, this one, when problems come, experience them with compassion, not with anger, not with irritation or blaming everybody else. Experience them with compassion, die with compassion.
Difficult. Wow. Very difficult.
Enjoy with compassion. Practicing this gives you the best happy life. It fulfills all your wishes and all living beings' wishes for happiness. Wow. That's signed by Lama Zopa, his wonderful modern art signature. Yeah. So there we are. Wherever you go at Root Institute, there are reminders of.
This is also mantra.
Yeah, by seeing this, apparently, it's very beneficial. Om Anupasha Barahe Soha, purifying 100,000 eons of negative karma and obscurations. And then Shatsa Maha. Yeah. So anyway, this all has to be taken in the context of living an ethical lifestyle. You can't be killing animals during the day and think they're going to give you the text. One has to have a good lifestyle.
Who gave the name Root Institute, Kabirji?
Lama Yeshe.
Did he explain why he's naming it as a root?
Yeah, yeah.
And what is that root?
Said the root is initially he wanted it to be called. What did he want to call it? Anyway, in the end, we decided on Root Institute for. Initially, I think he said something like Root Institute for Wisdom and Religion or something. Then we decided Wisdom Culture is good. Root Institute for Wisdom Culture. And the root, because he said Bodh Gaya is the root, and this will be like the root of the centers, you know, like a root, jar, the tree of all the other centers around the world. So out of recognition for Bodh Gaya being the root of the Buddha Dharma, I think so. Therefore, the center here is like the root, something like that. Yeah. But yeah, Lama named it, and of course, then Rinpoche had to agree. I don't think Rinpoche wanted any other name. But who knows, you know? But never hinted that it should be anything else. Yeah. Pragyan Sanskriti ke liye mool sansthan. If you want the.
वो तो है.
That's why rickshaw wale इस नाम को पसंद नहीं करते हैं, वो कुछ और बोलते हैं. प्रज्ञान संस्कृति के लिए मूल संस्थान. Yeah. Anyway, it's. I hope all of you get a chance to visit this place, Holy Bodh Gaya. It's extraordinary.
Beautiful.
Okay, Naveen ji, you be an advert for. Yeah. What did you say just now?
It's beautiful.
Louder. Yeah, Naveen ji is seems quite happy here, and he met some old friends amazingly at the stupa yesterday. Someone he hadn't met for years. He met at the stupa, a journalist. So yeah, so I've got some things going for it, and the weather's been good. Threatened to get rainy today, but it didn't. Anyway, okay, so yeah, you helped everybody. All of you helped everyone here to pass a few hours with at least very little harsh speech or negative actions. We didn't kill anything or slander anyone, I hope, in the last 2.5 hours, 2 hours. And, you know, we all behaved quite well. We did some meditation. We listened to Shantideva's verses. So we engaged in some positive actions just now. So we should rejoice and dedicate. Please dedicate for ourselves to understand more deeply and put into practice what Shantideva is saying and develop deep understanding and renunciation. While at the same time maintaining a very joyful and friendly, kind mind, which wishes to benefit others, not just to run away into the forest and neglect others, not like that, but to benefit sentient beings. To pray for the people who are sick or dying or have just died. Especially pray, please, for Pushpa Arora, who is still in hospital, not in the ICU, in hospital and recovering, hopefully. And then for other people who have just died, for trying to remember the person who was suicidal. We prayed for her, I think, the other day. Can you remember the name of that person, Nivitaji? There was someone we were praying for.
Kritika, I think.
Huh? Kritika. So, you know, like so many young people. And then the trainer who's training training us, some of us teachers here in Bodh Gaya at the moment, she's from Argentina. And she says so many young people in Argentina, students, you know, commit suicide. It's just so sad to hear, you know. All these young people feel that's the only answer, you know, killing themselves. So for all these poor suffering beings throughout the world, especially young people, you feel very sad for them. But for everybody who's suffering, dedicate that beings may, more and more beings may make a connection with the Dharma, be helped by Buddha Dharma. We never be separated from Buddha Dharma. And from the teachers, today was the 10th, Tibetan 10th, so Guru Puja Day. So we did Guru Puja here at the root. So may we never be separated from our very kind spiritual master who care for us, more than a parent for their only child. So may they all have long and healthy lives. May the Dharma last for an inconceivable long time in this world. Be of benefit for others. One Lama says that at the very least, we should always pray that the Dharma stays for a very long time. That's something we can do, which is very important. Always pray that the Dharma remains for a very long time. But of course, also for people, the great teachers who can then illuminate it for us. And so meanwhile, may we never give up, may we be full of positive energy and always willing to help others, always willing to help at least one other being in our life, if it's just our pet cat or dog, whatever. To help another being, if we can, help more. And therefore, as I said, make our life meaningful. That's where real happiness will start, according to Lama Zopa Rinpoche. Real happiness starts when we begin to cherish others. So we can experiment, see if that's true. If it's not true for us, then we can disregard it for the time being. Okay, so thank you all very much. Navinji and Rajeshji here outside the office at Root, and all of you there, all of you at Tushita Center. Thank you, Namitaji, for setting it up at Tushita.
Thank you, Kabirji.
Helping with Tushita, Nivitaji, and Gigi for his good stories and wise advice. For Sagar for going into a weird sideways posture. Gunji with his marmalade. Apurvaji, thank you very much. And to all of us, rejoice in the goodness. Have a good evening, and we can meet again, I hope, on Thursday, maybe from inside the office on Thursday. Let's see if we have good luck on Thursday. Okay, good night.
Thank you.